Hey there, pre-algebra class. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to go over everything you will need to know for your upcoming Chapter 4 final quiz. This quiz will cover sections 4.4, 4.5, and 4.7. Now, we are going to go over all of the skills you will need to know for these three sections and the upcoming quiz. Please remember, this is just a snapshot. This should not be the only studying you're doing because there are a ton more possible equations that we might see on the quiz. So we want to be prepared for anything and everything, which is where practice comes in super handy. But let's go over the things that we need to know for our upcoming quiz, starting with adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. So this is when the denominators are already the same. Because remember, if we're adding and subtracting, the denominators have to be the same before we can do that. Multiplication and division is different. We don't need common denominators. But adding or subtracting, we definitely need to find our least common denominators. Now, when they already have the same denominator, it makes our job a little bit easier. But we still want to add carefully. So let's look at this first example. 9/8 minus 9/8 plus 11/8 plus negative 7/8. Now for this one, we're going to take it one step at a time, and we're going to remember the adding and subtracting is from left to right. So we'll start with 9/8 minus 9/8. Well, 9 minus 9 is 0/8. And then let's bring down everything else. Plus 11/8 plus negative 7/8. Now, let's do our next two terms. So that's going to be 0 plus 11. That's 11/8 plus negative 7/8. Now, these are the last two terms, and they have common denominators, so we can combine that into 11 plus negative 7/8. Remember, once the denominators match, then you leave them. You leave it alone until the very end. Now, remember to be very careful with negatives. That is what we've noticed has been tricking some of us on these problems. So we really want to focus on negatives. Here I have a negative, so it's 11 plus negative 7. That's the same as 11 minus 7, which is 4. So we get 4/8, but remember, we must always simplify. Always. So if I see 4 and 8, I notice that they're both even. I also notice that they have common factors, 4. So I can divide this side by 4, this side by 4, and we get 1/2. So that would be our answer, and it's fully simplified. Now let's look at the next one. Negative 8/15 minus 2/15. We already have the same denominator, and we only have two terms. But let's look at our signs. We have negative 8 minus 2. So let's just write that all together. Negative 8 minus 2/15. Now, negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. Be careful with your negatives. And then we get negative 10/15. Now, those are both multiples of 5, so I can divide them both by 5. So we get negative 2/3. So our answer is negative 2/3. Now, this is fully simplified. This is fully simplified. I am done, and I am getting full credit. Now, let's move on to adding and subtracting when we have unlike denominators. Now, remember, we need to find an LCD when we are looking at fractions that do not have a matching denominator. So let's look at our first problem, 11 over 12 minus 3 over 8. So first thing we want to do is find the LCD. We have learned two ways to do that. So we could do 12 and 8. 12 is 4 times 3, 4 is 2 times 2, and 8 is 4 times 2, 4 is 2 times 2. So the most 2's I have is 3 2's, and the most 3's I have is 1, so 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. So our LCD is 24. Now let's say you're not feeling super great about the prime factorization method. You could take the longer route. I don't recommend it unless you absolutely blank out on how to do this. But we could do a list of 12s and a list of 8s. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Now I have to see what is my least common denominator, and it's 24. So now we have to rewrite these two fractions with a denominator of 24. So let's look at our first one, 11 over 12. I ask myself, 12 times what will become 24? Well, 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So to keep it equivalent, we need to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. That turns it into 22 over 24. And then we're going to do the same with 3/8. Now 3/8, I have to multiply 8 1, 2, 3 times to equal 24. So I'm going to multiply by 3, and I get 9 over 24. Then I look at my original operation, it was subtraction, and all that's left to do now that my denominators match is to subtract. So 22 minus 9 is 13 over 24. Now we would want to make sure it's fully simplified, and in this case 13 is prime and 24 cannot be divided by 13, so this is our simplified answer. All right, let's check out the next one. 3/8 plus 5/24. So again, we could do our LCD, but we just were working with 8s, and we saw that they have a multiple of 24. Now because we have 8, 16, 24, 32, and 24, 48, 72. Now 24 is on both lists. That means this fraction can stay the same. It already has a denominator of 24. This fraction, we need to make it have a denominator of 24. So we'll multiply by 3, and we get 9 over 24 plus 5 over 24. Now we have equivalent fractions, or not equivalent fractions, sorry, common denominators, and we can add them together. 9 plus 5 is 14 over 24. But I noticed these are both even numbers, so they can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to simplify and see if that divides it as much as it can possibly be divided, or if I could simplify it even further. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 7 and 12 do not have any common factors, so our answer is 7/12. Now the last one in this section, 4 over 13 minus 1 over 26. So if I have 13, that's 13 times 1, it's prime, and 26 is 13 times 2. Now if we are finding our LCD, we're going to take each number the most times it appears. Well, that's 13 times 2, so our LCD is 26. So this fraction, that gets to stay the same, 1 over 26. But 4 over 13, we need to change that to have a common denominator, so we're going to multiply it by 2. Now, if we multiply the denominator by 2, we have to multiply the numerator by 2. So that becomes 8 over 26. So then 8 minus 1 is 7, and the 26 stays the same. We do not subtract the bottom, not with adding and subtracting. Now 7 is prime, and 26 cannot be divided by 7, so this is our final answer. All right. Now, the next skills that you will see on the quiz are operations with mixed numbers. So we're going to start with multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. Now, step number 1 we talked about in class is we always want to make sure our mixed numbers are turned into improper fractions. And then the other major key for these problems is we want to simplify our final answer. Always. So, looking at our first question, 3 1/3 times 6 3/4. So first we turn them into improper fractions. We start from the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So that's 10 over 3 times, and then we're going to rewrite the second fraction as an improper fraction. So 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. So 27 over 4 times 10 over 3. Now remember, when we are multiplying, this is where we simplify first before multiplying. So now that we're at the step that would require us to multiply, we are going to simplify first. So 10 and 4, those can both be divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then we're going to look at the other diagonal, 3 and 27. They can both be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So our new fractions, always rewrite them so you don't make any mistakes. Our new fractions are 5 over 1 times 9 over 2. Now we look, can we simplify these? No. So we multiply across. 5 times 9 is 45. 1 times 2 is 2. Now we already said these can't be simplified because we did the simplifying at the beginning. So that means this is my final answer and I'm done. Now let's divide. So remember, we have negative 3 1/5 divided by 2 7/10. Division is when we need to use our keep, change, flip strategy. So before you keep, change, flip, you want to change your mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So that's 16 over 5. Don't forget the negative sign, okay? Bring down the division because we haven't done our KCF yet. And then 2 times 10 is 20, plus 7 is 27 over 10. Now, we've rewritten our mixed numbers as improper fractions. Now we KCF, keep, change, flip. So that's negative 16 over 5 times 10 over 27. From here we look at our diagonals. 16 and 27, what numbers can they both be divided by? Well, 27 and 16, let's think. I'm going to start with 16. 16 can be divided by 8, so 27 divided by 8. Nope, it doesn't work. 16 can be divided by 2. 27 divided by 2. Nope, doesn't work. And 16 can be divided by 4. So 27 divided by 4. Nope. So these can't be simplified. But 5 and 10 those have a common factor of 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we get negative 16 times 2 over 1 times 27. Now, negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. 1 times 27 is 27. And we've already simplified, so our answer is negative 32 over 27. And our last one in this section, we have 6 3/4 divided by 1 2/7. So step number 1, make it improper. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27 over 4, divided by 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9 over 7. So now we've set up our improper fractions. Next step is KCF. So we keep the first fraction, 27 over 4, be careful, times 7 over 9. Now, I look at my diagonals. 4 and 7 cannot be simplified, but 27 and 9 can. They can both be divided by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 27 divided by 9 is 3. So we get 3 times 7 over 4 times 1. Now we multiply straight across. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 1 is 4. So we get 21 over 4. All right. Now, this next section is where we combine the two things we were just doing. And we are going to add or subtract, but this time we're going to use mixed numbers. Now remember, if we are adding and subtracting, we need an LCD. Multiplying and dividing, it doesn't matter, but add, subtract, we definitely need common denominators. But remember, we're combining skills. We're combining our unlike fractions and our mixed numbers. So step number 1, we want to make all of our fractions improper. All of our fractions improper. I was combining words there. So improper fractions are our first step. So 8 times 7 is 56, plus 3 is 59 over 8, plus 9 times 6 is 54, plus 5 is 59 over 6. Now, we cannot add these as they are because the denominators do not match. So we have to find common denominators. 6 and 8. Well, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 8, 16, 24, 32. 24 is our LCD. So for 8, that's multiplying by 3. And for 6, we have to multiply by 4. All right, so we made our fractions improper. Now we're going to make the denominators match. When we're doing this, we have to multiply both the top and the bottom by the same factor. Notice, 59 times 3, we're going to have a big number. When we're working with mixed numbers, you are going to get some big digits sometimes. So 59 times 3 is 177 over 24, plus 59 times 4 is 236 over 24. Now we add those together and we get 413 over 24. Now to simplify, I might not be sure that this is fully simplified because I didn't multiply, so I didn't simplify first. So when you're trying to see if it can be simplified, pick the smaller number and divide the other one by all of the possible factors of the small number. So 24. 24, we can break that down into 6 times 4 or 8 times 3. So those are the factors I'm going to try and divide 413 by. So 413 divided by 6 doesn't work. 413 divided by 4 doesn't work. 413 divided by 8, nope. 413 divided by 3, no. So this is as simplified as we could be. Let's try the next one. Same thing, except now we're subtracting. So step number 1, make it improper. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 1 is 41 over 5, minus 11 times 5 is 55, plus 3 is 58. So we have 41 over 5 minus 58 over 11. We need to find common denominators. So for 5 and 11, that's going to be 55. So I'm going to multiply this side by 11 and this side by 5. Don't forget, you will be allowed to use calculators on just this section. So 41 times 11, you'll get 451 over 55 minus, and then 58 times 5 is 290 over 55. Now we have common denominators, so now we can subtract 451 minus 290, and we get 161 over 55. And that would be our final answer. If we're going too fast, go ahead and pause, rewind, or watch at a slower speed. But we're going to move on to our last example of unlike fractions, 12 and 1/7 minus 9 3/5. So first we multiply 12 times 7, and that's 84, plus 1 is 85 over 7, minus 9 times 5 is 45, plus 3 is 48. Now 7 and 5, what is our LCD? Well, our LCD for 7 and 5 is 35. So that means for this fraction, we're going to multiply both pieces by 5, and for this fraction, we're going to multiply them by 7. So calculators ready, 85 times 5, 425 over 35, minus 48 times 7, that's 336 over 35. Now remember, once my denominators match, then I subtract 425 minus 336. So our final numerator is 89, and the denominator is still 35. So our answer would be 89 over 35. All right. The final question we're going to talk about is a word problem. So the Oxbridge Athletics Department, they're going to be doing a fundraiser. Let's use this one. They're going to be selling hamburgers at the soccer team's senior night coming up. Now, Chef Ed ordered 27 3/4 pounds of hamburger meat. How many quarter-pound hamburgers can we make out of the meat he ordered? So how many burgers can we make to sell? Well, if we're taking a total amount and trying to find out how many of something we can make out of it, how many quarter-pound hamburgers can we make out of it, we need to divide. And we're going to divide the amount of meat that we have in the refrigerator, to 27 3/4, divided by the amount of meat in a hamburger. Now, each hamburger is a quarter pound. A quarter pound is 1/4. So we've set up our equation. Now we have to solve it. First, we do around the world because we want to get rid of any mixed numbers we might have. So 27 times 4 is 108, plus 3 is 111 over 4, divided by 1 over 4. Now, we have to keep change flip. So this will be 111 over 4 times 4 over 1. Now, this cancels out and this cancels out. So we can make 111 over 1 hamburgers. So that's 111 hamburgers. So come on out to the soccer game to buy your hamburgers, folks. All right, guys, I'm very proud of you for watching this video and putting so much effort into your studying. Now, you've done a great job, so the last thing I want to leave you with is don't forget to look out for the little things on the test, because that's what's been tricking us and causing some mistakes. The little things, for example, negatives. The correct operation. If you're supposed to be adding, make sure you're adding and not subtracting. So operations, simplifying, that's a big one. So those are some of the things to look out for while you're practicing. This time we are done with our review, but if you still need help, my door is not closed. You can come stop by the Math Center anytime, Tuesday or Wednesday, to get some help before your quiz. Thanks, guys, for all of your effort, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.